I want to know, y'all, maybe like for a different question, I want to know y'all's take on narcissist therapists that are narcissists. And like, what how
Ready?
that's a trend.
Okay.
I'm just so...
So the question on the table is not moving into the emotional mental domain right now, but what is our take on narcissistic therapists? And they do exist. And we're back. Do you remember that SNL sketch with Jimmy Fallon?
Well, there's a bunch with Jimmy Fallon.
Well, yes, but the "we're back," and then every time that it would cut back to him, he would get more like "we're back," and he would, yeah. Anyhow,
I didn't even know Saturday Night Live existed until I was in college.
Really? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
What was the do you remember who the cast was? Like,
no, like I didn't. It wasn't that I even watched it really. Like I would see clips, but my best friend and college roommate loved Saturday Night Live, and so she introduced me. But I didn't know that it really existed. Yeah.
So you never really watched it?
No, I didn't even know it was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, wow, interesting.
It's been a thing for quite some time.
for actually like over 20 years, yeah.
No.
But didn't they have like their like were you like
It was
some
on when my parents were kids. Like Steve Martin back in the day.
She doesn't know who Steve Martin is.
No.
You know who Steve
Martin
Martin
Short.
is?
Have you ever watched Murders in the Building?
yes.
Steve Martin and Martin
Okay,
Short?
yeah. He was in
They
Trooper
kind of
by the
got
Dozen.
their start on
Yeah,
Saturday
yeah.
Night Live.
Okay.
Like back in, I mean, it's like 50 years,
Yeah.
right? It's they
More,
just
I think.
celebrated
Okay, it was
their
the 50-year anniversary.
50
It was
year
some type of
anniversary.
anniversary.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal. Yeah, so
Wow.
the cast that was most popular back whenever I was watching was like the Adam Sandler,
Chris Farley,
David Spade,
Dana Carvey was
Dana
there
Carvey
somewhere.
was a big one, Kevin Nealon, Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald, yes.
Oh my god.
Right.
And then I really was into it during the Tina Fey, Amy Poehler,
Oh my
Rachel
gosh, they're
Dratch,
so funny.
Sherry O'Terry, and then Horatio Sands. There was a sketch that Amy Poehler and Horatio Sands did together to where like he was like her stepdad or something like that, and she was like this brace. She had these braces, and she was like a 10 or 12-year-old girl, and she was wreck, and then he would always crack, and that was like she was just that whole crew. Jimmy Fallon was a part of that crew as well. The Debbie Downer sketches where Jimmy would always crack, and then Will Ferrell. And then I kind of fell out when Fred Armisen and Jason Sudeikis left.
Yeah.
That crew. Tracy Morgan. One of my favorite sketches was the Christmas Carol with Jimmy Fallon, Horatio Sands, Tracy Morgan, and Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan doing a Mango with The Rock.
Right.
Oh my God. You need to go
I do.
and look up all
I
of
do.
these episodes.
I do.
Start at episode 1, season 1, episode 1, and
wow.
just, work your way through the last 50 years.
There were great VHSs back in the day, the best of specific people.
Ooh, yeah.
The Chris Farley best of tapes were insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Down by the River. You've never seen the Down by the River sketch?
I live in a van
Dude,
down by the river.
Guess who wrote that sketch? It's Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk.
Better Call Saul wrote
Yeah.
the Down by the River sketch.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought that his best, I mean, that was like a recurring sketch, but his Chippendales audition with Patrick Swayze
Dude.
is maybe one of the most iconic SNL moments of all time. It was really, really funny. Have you watched like Tommy Boy or
Black Sheep.
Black Sheep with
David Spade.
Chris Farley
Yeah.
and David Spade?
Movies?
Yeah.
No. But I have been more recently watching all of the movies like per actor. Like I'll find an actor that I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
Like Sandra Bullock. Went down the rabbit hole for her.
Where
Loved.
you at? Miss Congeniality?
No, I watched all, like she has Hope Floats.
Yep.
Wholesome.
Yeah. I watched Hope Floats in the movie theater with my girlfriend when I was like 16 or 17 years old.
Oh wow.
It's an old movie.
Yeah.
It was like her and was that Harry Connick Jr. was the co-star in that?
I think so.
Anyways,
there's another movie.
I think the Garth Brooks version of "To Make You Feel My Love" was on the soundtrack of that movie, and that was, yeah.
Yes.
See how old I am?
Not that old.
You even lost me there.
But she has a lot. But no, I watched like all of Adam Sandler's movies. I had already seen a lot of them. Big Adam Sandler fan.
Yeah.
But I rewatched a lot of them. Because they're like light movies. I like to keep it light.
Well, some of them are, but Spanglish is not all that light. And then
I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen his newest one, Uncut Gems.
Oh, you haven't seen that?
No.
Stress watch.
Is it a stress watch?
I stress watch. On purpose. I watched that to just be tense.
Oh, see, I don't know about
That's
all
not
that.
something I take part in.
Speaking about being tense, there's a new show on Netflix that is made by the same director that did Peaky Blinders.
Oh.
It's called The House of Guinness.
I did see a trailer for that.
I had the flu this past week. Binge watched all 8 episodes.
It's the most Irish trailer I've ever seen.
It ends on the biggest like cliffhanger, and I'm like, I ChatGPT'd immediately like, when does season 2 of House of Guinness? And ChatGPT was like, well, it just released on September 25th of 2025, so
they're gonna wait.
Netflix
and see.
hasn't even really announced the renewal of the show yet, but it's like, it's right up there with Peaky Blinders. It's so good.
Fantastic.
Have you seen the Ozark?
No.
Ozark. Yeah, that one. Really good.
Very tense.
There's Black Rabbit that came out. That's
My dad
like,
just recommended that to me.
I liked it. I binge watched it, finished it in like 2 days.
How many episodes is there?
I don't know, like 9. But they're like an hour. They're long.
Yeah. We just finished oh god. You just binge watched 9 hours of a Netflix show in 2 days.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Priorities.
I got through 8 from like Sunday to I came back to work Wednesday maybe. I think I came back to work on Wednesday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I got through 8 hours while I had the flu. But
I binge.
That's awesome.
But I'll do that instead of get on like any form of social media.
Yeah.
So it's like really nice.
So I started rewatching all the Marvel films from like the very first one. Like started at Captain America, then went to Captain Marvel, and trying to do like the actual order to keep myself off of social media at night, because it's literally. It's like
it's
drowning.
It's
It's so terrible. It's so terrible.
It's rough.
Yeah.
My kid, I can't remember what even happened last night, but I normally keep it all tamped down. I don't talk about politics. I don't let people really, even my family, like, just because nobody cares, right? So like, but Jamin, my 17-year-old, he asked a question at dinner. I can't even remember what it was, but he was like, something about freedom of speech, should that equate to freedom of consequence? And I was like, no, not necessarily, except for like if freedom of speech with intent should not be protected from consequence. So if I say I'm going to punch you in the face, well, there should have a consequence to that. Or if I say I'm going to do something to you, I'm making a threat, or I'm calling to action other people to do something that could cause you harm, then I don't think that I'm free of the consequences of your reaction.
So true threats doctrine, fighting words doctrine.
Right, but if it's an expression of idea or an opinion, if I'm just saying like I think this or I believe this, I think that those types of expressions should have freedom from consequence.
All right, that's a really good way to
Now,
word
if
it.
my opinion is that other people should hurt you, or if my opinion is that other people should not have the same rights as me,
Sure.
again, now I've crossed another line.
Right.
Yeah. It's a certain amount of grace when people are thinking out loud in front of you.
Right.
And trying to get a grasp on what they actually think.
Yeah.
Trying to penalize somebody for that is just sort of bad faith in and of itself if you were trying to reach some kind of, conclusion together. And if somebody drifts off, then, just
right.
get them back
And
on
so
the path.
I don't know what happened to me. I don't know if my filter just went away, but for then probably the next 10 minutes, I'm just at the dinner table with my 4-year-old, my wife, and my 17-year-old, just talking about everything that's broken about the world. And I just like went on my full.
You got on the soapbox.
I got on the soapbox about the global Samud flotilla getting confiscated and intercepted by the IDF, and Gaza and Ukraine and Epstein and
Everybody was at the table like, you need to get back on social media.
no, everybody at the table, they're just like quiet and listening because it's so out of character for me. I do not open up about these things. And then they were, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of feel like I brought the mood down. And my wife was like, yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll just like put it all back in the box.
I'm gonna go back to my MCU now.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I don't know. I can't even. I'm just finished Avengers, so I need to start Iron Man 3.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. See him without the suit.
Yep. So that's what I do to stay off social media because it's definitely
It gets you down a rabbit hole, and I think especially like being a therapist, like you don't want to like in your free time also see or hear dark shit. So then it's like you gotta have something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and so usually whenever I am looking for other media to consume to kind of distract or to wind down or whatever, I'm not going toward the sad shit or the tense.
Right.
Like Marvel's not tense for me. I know the good guys are eventually going to win.
Right.
So whenever I used to live with one of my best friends, Hamed, and our other best friend Jeff, and his former wife lived upstairs, and we would like have movie nights and just kind of like, it was like a little bit of a commune type feel. So one night we are all watching a movie and we let Hamed pick. Hamed is maybe one of the happiest people on the planet. He's just like this.
He just like Dear John.
Yeah, shit just doesn't seem to bother him. Maybe because he's from Iran and like he's grown up in different cultures and circumstances.
Right.
He's like, yeah, there's really nothing bad going on here comparatively. So, so anyways, he picked Manchester by the Sea. I was just like, it's such a drag. And it was funny because like I was dealing with severely mentally ill people, like dealing with crisis constantly and like, you know, suicidality and all of these things. And he's just, you know, happy-go-lucky, nothing really going on, stressful in his life. And this was years and years and years ago. And yeah, it was just that. It was like he sought out sadness and dark things to watch on TV because it was the opposite of the life that he was living. And I'm like, I'm over here dealing with...
Yeah, he wanted to feel something.
He wanted to feel something, and I want to stop feeling something. So I want to watch like an Adam Sandler movie or, you know, a superhero movie. Yeah. What's going on with that one?
Just hanging out.
Just hanging out?
Just hanging out.
All right. Cool.
I was thinking about the tone deaf times that I've been the one who's been responsible for picking out movies. Not good, man. My family had a business back in North Carolina, a pizza place that burned down, and maybe 2-3 days after the fact, we were all just sitting around not knowing what to do, and I go and I pick out Ladder 49 to watch.
Oh my god!
And I turn around.
Did you know what the movie was about?
Yeah, but
and then the next week it was Backdraft.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so it was just not my best moment.
Yeah,
I was 15, you know.
Yeah, fair.
I was just like, this looks good, and they're traumatized by our business loss.
Oh my gosh!
And I just looked like a total dick. It was not great. So, been there.
Yeah,
been there.
Yeah. Pete Davidson went on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and he there was a reference that what was it? He was talking. His dad died in 9/11.
Yeah.
And there was somehow Ladder 49 was referenced to him by someone, like, oh, like, have you seen the movie? And he's like, he made a joke about it, but he was like, no, like, when people ask me, like, or relate those types of movies, he's like, why the fuck would I watch that and re-traumatize myself? Like, his mom, like, has, like like memorabilia of everything, like the fire stuff, and pictures of his dad everywhere. And he's like, I have to really be careful when I go there because I don't want to like see his face everywhere I look.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So, binge watching shows.
Yep.
What else happens in the life of a 20s individual these days?
Lots of Pilates.
Yeah.
Walking pads are a game changer. I think that everyone should have a walking pad.
Just like a little treadmill.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's portable. You can put it wherever. Goes pretty fast. You have to have good balance to stay on it, but it does the job.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Do you just like walk in your living room while binge watching shows?
No, I walk in my bedroom. So I live with me and my brother live together. We own a house, and he he gets annoyed with the sound, and also he's never home, so it doesn't really I don't know why it matters that much, but also I have to be careful of where I put it because I will fall off because my balance is not the best.
It's very narrow too, isn't it?
Nah, it's wide enough to where you shouldn't fall. Okay. But sometimes I just get distracted.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Lost in thought. I don't know what I'm, But sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
So lots of walking, lots of working.
I think that I recommended that to my father-in-law a while back, and he got one. I haven't heard about him falling off of it yet, and he's like 70-something.
Has a better balance than me. I just I don't know. I don't know. I get distracted.
So tell me about Pilates. Mm-hmm. Lots of people are into Pilates these days. What is it? Well, I know what Pilates is, but what is it about Pilates that has captured so many people?
I like a class. I think now in this season of life, and especially doing what we do, sometimes I just want to be told what to do in a sense of a workout class or something I don't want to have to think any more than I already have to. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy thinking, obviously, but sometimes you just want to do something mindless that's productive. And so that's fun. And yoga sometimes is not fast paced enough for me, and I like to struggle so that I feel like I'm doing something.
Do you like spicy food?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jalapenos on almost everything.
Yeah, we need to ask Jen when she gets here if she likes spicy food.
Is that a thing? Do you have a theory?
No, I don't have a theory.
Oh.
It was something, some scientific article was posted on Instagram or something a while ago that I noticed that people who like spicy food tend to enjoy physical struggles and pursue more intense types of hobbies and activities than people who don't like spicy foods. And so there's something about ultra marathoners or jiu-jitsu people or people who do boxing or really hot yoga as opposed to regular yoga, or just something they just like everything to be more difficult physically in their recreation and hobbies. And so that seems to be pretty true across the board.
Yeah, I enjoy a struggle.
You enjoy a struggle?
I do. But it's it's the one I do reformer Pilates. So there's a machine you're on.
Yeah.
And you have to have good balance, and you can't really think about anything other than what your instructor's telling you, because then you'll fall.
So it's a body embodiment mindfulness type of practice.
Yeah, you have to be thinking about your breathing, because then if you're not, then it burns really bad, and then you're not doing the exercise as well, and you're thinking about your form, and then you're thinking I don't want to fall and face plant because you'll bust your face. So it's spicy form of working out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pilates. I do mat Pilates sometimes too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is the temperature cranked up in those places like it would be hot yoga, or is it just...
No, it's chilled. Yeah. And normally the girls speak in very calming voices, okay, only 5 more reps. And then it's not actually 5 more reps. They're just telling you that. They're okay, you're so close to being done. Last push. And it's not.
Never.
Don't lie. Keep it real. But it's a mind, you're tricking your mind, right? To doing the harder thing and keep on pushing through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. I was installing this thing this morning, and I accidentally knelt on this knee on this hard floor, and it screamed at me. And so I have daily reminders of how much I miss what you're talking about, of being able to do something that is like fully immersive in all of my focus and everything. I was hoping to be able to get cleared to swim. Have we talked about this?
No.
Because I can't do anything else. I can't like run. I can cycle, but I can also cycle with my phone right in front of me. So
but
that was one of the things about jiu-jitsu is like for an hour, 4 or 5 times a week, it was like forced disconnect, and it was fully mindful, immersive. Even when I go to the gym and lift, I'll do like my 45-second to 60-second set, and then I'll log. I have to pick up my phone to log my set into the RP Hypertrophy app, and then I have my phone right there. And so then for the 90-second rest, I'm checking email, or I'm responding to a text, or checking our group me, or I'm looking at TikTok or Instagram or something. And I get it, I should be more disciplined, right? But also, it was very convenient to just have that time to where I put the phone down, I didn't touch it, and it was just like I was fully present, and nothing outside of whatever that was at jiu-jitsu, nothing outside of that had access to me. And so I was hoping to be able to start swimming, and I can't. The doctor didn't clear me to swim because I have to go back and get another MRI on Sunday.
Dang.
Because it's like when he does the examination, the joint is moving too much. So
that freaks me out.
Yeah. I can sit in the sauna, though.
There you go. You can't have your phone in there.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay.
It does overheat at about 15 to 16 minutes. So what I normally do is I'll put like a what are they called? I cannot be word finding on a podcast. Audiobook. Yeah. So I'm listening to Black AF History right now.
Okay.
On Audible. And so I'll just sit in there and listen to that, which is somewhat better, but that's only like 20 minutes, 25 minutes max. I'm not one of these guys that can sit in a sauna for an hour.
Is it good for you to sit in there for an hour?
I don't think so, but there's one guy at the Y here in Green Hills. He's a psychologist, and he has like 0% body fat.
Wow.
And he's in there every single day that I'm in there before I get there, and he's in there after I leave, and I have no idea how long he sits in the sauna.
He's escaping his life.
Research by Rhonda Patrick and
Bruce
Dr.
Ames. Rhonda Patrick, love her.
Yep. All-cause mortality goes down linearly with how much time you spend in a sauna and with cold plunges. Heat shock proteins, cold shock proteins.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty linear relationship between how much time you spend in extreme conditions like that.
Yeah.
So there is something to it.
No, there is. I have flirted for the last year about buying one and putting it on my back porch.
Like an infrared?
Yeah, because
look on Facebook Marketplace.
I swear to God, if one more person suggests that I do anything on Facebook Marketplace,
in this office today.
Jesus Christ, I hate that. And yeah. So, anyways,
some hot
the answer
takes
is no
on Facebook Marketplace.
So there's one. It's like a corner one that sits like 2 to 4 people. And it's infrared. It's a couple $1,000s. It would fit perfectly in that corner on my screened-in back porch. But I'm also like, I can just go to the Y.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if it's like midnight, or like you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like, wow, it'd be kind of nice to just sit in my sauna that
would be nice. Are you trying to convince me to?
I am pro. Get the self-care.
Treat yourself.
I'm very pro. Treat yourself.
All right. So Jen should be here. Jen Biddle. I told you a different name, but professionally she goes by Jen Biddle.
Okay.
She's going to be here in just a few minutes, so let's take a break. All right, you ready? All right.
Okay.
All right. 8 Domains Podcast with Jen Biddle, LPC MHSP. 17 years practice in the field of attachment, neurodiversity, and then there's a lot more to you than that. You're a mom, you're a lifter, which I would love for us to get around to both of those things if you want to talk about.
Yeah.
But today, what we're going to do is an exploration of the values and investments in those values according to the 8 domains. So, pop quiz question. There's no wrong answer. Have you watched any of the content on the podcast?
No.
Good. Good. So
Coming in blind.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, for a little bit of context, you and I met back in 2013. It's been 12 years.
Wow.
At a different practice where we both were contracted employees or contracted therapists.
Yeah.
And I remember you kind of like had your little space at the very end of the hallway, and there were some things going on in the practice that you seemed to just kind of like keep yourself separate from.
Yeah.
And I try to take that as a cue that maybe that was the way to go in that space. So anyways, what I remember from working with you then, and then also just kind of like watching you on social media as we tend to keep up with each other, is just kind of a sense of I don't know if you'll resonate with this, but just like a calm above the noise. Like you're present with it. You seem to be very self-aware of like everything going on in the world, and then you engage with it, but from almost like a distance that I admire. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. You know, I'm a youngest child. It's like a youngest child syndrome.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to see what's going on, and then I'm going to be like, I'm not going to do that.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So to kind of catch you up then on what we do here on 8 Domains Podcast is we explore how a person arrived at the specific set of values that kind of guides them in being congruent within themselves. And so the 8 domains are the physical. So how do you experience yourself in a physical body? And then the emotional, mental, the spiritual, inspirational, the relational, so everything outside of a romantic partner, and then the romantic domain, the vocational, the financial, and the recreational domain. And we don't talk about all 8 of those with any one person because there's no way, we don't have enough time and nobody wants to watch a 9-hour podcast.
Yeah.
But the question being is kind of how do you want to experience yourself in each one of those domains? And that answer is where we arrive at the values that we hold for ourselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of times whenever we look at something like, okay, if I was to say, well, tell me, how do you want to experience yourself in your physical body? And you're like, well, I don't know. I never thought about it. Okay, I would say, well, what do you do now to create the experience that you want to have? Well, I lift and I eat a certain way and I sleep a certain way and I, manage stress a certain way and I, whatever it is. And so then reversing, like a reverse engineering from what you're already doing to invest in that value back into what the actual value is. Well, what do those things that you're already doing and spend a lot of time and energy into, what experience do they create for you? And that experience would be the value.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So which one do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the physical one. You mentioned that already.
All right,
You know?
perfect. So I have oftentimes been super impressed by watching your Instagram and the stories that you post. So tell us a little bit about what do you value about the experience you have in your physical body?
I like to stretch limits a little. I just like to see what I can do, And I think even in that, though, it has to be flexible. I think my body has taken many different shapes and forms over the years, Like I had... like just thinking through the timeline here, like when I was in high school, I ran track. I was probably like a string bean, like could run all day. Now when I run, I'm cursing up hills. But like I started kind of there and then kind of just I've explored a lot of different things. I did yoga for 5 years. I had a registered yoga teacher certificate.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that.
And then I got into CrossFit after I had a shoulder injury from yoga, strangely enough.
Did you teach CrossFit?
No, I'd never taught CrossFit. I probably could, but I have not done the certifications for that. But it got me into Olympic lifting, and so I did, it's probably lapsed now, have a USAW level 1 coaching certificate from that. Yeah, I just like to learn, I love to learn all I can about things and frameworks and then, put them into practice. So now I kind of moved out of Olympic lifting, suffered a knee injury, ACL reconstruction, and then built my way.
Let's talk about that. I just had mine.
Did you? How long ago?
I have to get another MRI on Sunday.
Okay.
Because the orthopedic is saying that it's moving too much. I'm a month out from it.
Oh yeah.
I spent about 3 days on the crutches.
Yeah.
I spent about 5 days in that brace, and I was like, I can't stand any of this.
It was terrible.
It's awful. And
Yeah.
so, the PT and everybody was like, yeah, as long as it feels stable, like go ahead, go for it. Walk and go upstairs. Just don't go downstairs, which I'm going downstairs now because it doesn't hurt. But, yeah, the orthopedic says that it's moving more like 5 months out as opposed to 1 month, and he's concerned about that for some reason.
Did you have like what did they use? Did they have to recreate
It was the patella tendon.
I had the same one. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
surprised you're not in a brace now. I'm like, wow, okay. I was in it for a while, like a long while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty, when you're used to your body being able to do certain things, when you have something like that happen, it's really hard mentally and emotionally too.
I'm glad you said that. I feel very validated.
Yeah,
because
it's so true. I mean, yeah, I was like crying, like trying to make a circle on a bike. Like that was a goal at one point, is like, can I make a full rotation on a bicycle? You know, and I used to be like throwing over 100 pounds over my head, you know? So it's like, you had to really take some steps back.
I posted an Instagram, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. It took me about 2.5 weeks to get a full rotation on a stationary bike. And now I can do it. I can just like hop on and go. But yeah, that we were talking about first. Do you like spicy food?
Yeah, I like spicy food.
Okay. So you'll have to watch the podcast because before we had a whole conversation about people who like to push the limits of their bodies tend to like spicy food. And
that makes sense. I think it's intensity. You know, I've always been a little intense. You know, I mean, I think I hide it well by the calm demeanor, but I do think that I like intensity. I've had to learn, like, maybe tolerance isn't a gift over time. Like, maybe you shouldn't do that just because you can.
Yeah.
But you know, like even with the knee surgery, the year after my 1 year kneeversary, I called it, I hiked the Grand Canyon like top to bottom and back up. You know, like that's the kind of person I am. Because I was like, I'm recovered. I'm going to test it. Let's go.
My 1 year anniversary will be next September, and my buddy Hamed and I are planning a trip to Peru.
Oh, nice.
To do the Salcante Pass to Machu Picchu.
Yep.
And so my wife and I just did the Inca Trail, which is like 26 miles over 4 days.
Yeah.
But it's a good elevation gain on one of the days. You do like 5,000 feet in a relatively short distance.
Right.
Whereas Salcante is a lot more elevation. It's 10 more miles. It's another day. And so that's the goal, is to be able to do that by next September. The real goal is on my birthday, March 2nd, which is 6 months out from surgery, to be able to go back and start training and drilling jiu-jitsu again. So
yeah, that would be scary, I would think. I mean, well,
that's how I injured it.
Yeah.
So how did you injure yours?
Funny enough, like I think in Olympic lifting, there's only like a 1% risk of injury. I'm the 1%. I mean, it's not. Wow. I think it's 1%. It's a really small number, but I was split jerking, and it's like a split stance where you like throw the barbell over your head. But I had 160 pounds on it, and when I caught it up high, my back foot slipped out from under me, and it just went.
Oh God!
And I just remember falling, and I was like, I think my kneecap has moved. Has my kneecap moved? You know, and I was like thinking my kneecap was like down my shin or something because of how it felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did it doing that. I don't want anyone to be scared of weightlifting. It's just like, these are the strange and unusual things that just happen to me.
Yeah.
Not necessarily everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you so you do the weightlifting and
yeah, I'm just bodybuilding. So
bodybuilding now. Are you going to compete?
I thought about that, but I'm really not good at depriving myself of food. Like, it's not my strong suit.
Yeah.
I have ADHD, full disclosure. So dopamine and me are friends. I'm like, dopamine. So I like to eat dopamine. And I feel like working out allows me to be able to eat stuff that I want. So I'd like to have a balance with that. And I just don't know that I could. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll decide I'm ready.
Well, how long is a cut for like 6 to 8 weeks?
I think it just depends. Like, my understanding is like sometimes 16 weeks is a good number to kind of start getting a baseline and then cutting from there. But I just don't know. I've done that before. I like did P90X back in the day when that was a thing. And so. I think I was like down to 145 pounds, which is crazy because now I weigh 175. Like, can you imagine me 30 pounds lighter? Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah.
To think that that's how thin I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, when you talk about the value of how you want to experience yourself,
yep.
you said, I like to, I think you said something like, I like to see what I can do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like to experience, the fullness of what my body's capacity is.
Right. Yeah. There's got to be some goal or challenge of mine. So that's something else that I'm like, now what am I going to do? Am I going to do bodybuilding, or am I going to go back to like high rocks has come up in my mind? Like maybe I could do that.
What is that?
High rocks is kind of like I don't know if it came out of CrossFit, but there's a lot of movements that you would do in CrossFit, just not the gymnastics, which I like to call big gymnastics because I'm tall and I don't like it. I hate gymnastics. But it's a lot of it's running, 8K running, but it's broken up into 8 1Ks. Oh. And then in between that, you're doing other movements like sled drag, sled pull, like a ski erg, and some other stuff that I'm just not remembering. But yeah, so maybe I would do something like that eventually.
So you bring up a good point, and feel free to argue and debate. Mm-hmm. But whenever I'm coaching clients in the past, or I don't really do this much anymore, but whenever I was developing this and kind of working through it, I would always steer clients away from goals, especially in the physical domain.
Yeah.
Whether that was a goal weight or a bench press goal or a squat goal or whatever it is. Even if it was just I have a goal of working out 3 days a week or 4 days a week. Yeah. Let's cut out goals altogether.
I'll tell you, any of my clients who would listen to this would be like, she doesn't even like goals, they already know. I'm not a fan of goals because I feel like it sets up this expectation of this external thing, and I'm just at a point in my life, and I've done plenty of therapy myself, to not want to be at a point where I'm working towards a reward or to avoid something. I want to do it because I want to, and I'm internally motivated to do it. And so I think it's probably my little ADHD brain gets bored, and so I'm like, well, there's got to be something I'm working toward sometimes.
Working toward or just working on?
I really never have a solid goal in mind. There's never going to be a time, and
I've working this on different things,
right? I've learned this from years of fitness, just being it's not realistic. Olympic weightlifting is a really great teacher because it is a sport of failure. You're failing most of the time, and you have to learn when your body is saying, "Hey, my knee does not want to do all these squats." You probably don't need to sometimes. You don't push through, you back off, and so it's kind of a dance you do. So having some kind of rigid goal, I have to do this program 4 times a week or I'm failing, is not realistic,
Right.
Yeah.
And so then without goals, what does a person work toward? Because I would work with a lot of, I've worked with former collegiate runners. I've worked with other people who are into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I've worked with, other people who were in jiu-jitsu spaces and things like that. And they always had this goal in mind. And so then backing off from the goal to say, okay, what do you have if you don't have goals? Well, you have values. And the values are, how do I want to experience myself in my physical body? Right. And the way that I invest my time, energy, resources, all of that is a reflection of those values. And so we kind of scale it back to, a lot of times I would share mine and people are like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's just, I value experiencing myself as having freedom from preventable diseases.
Yes.
Freedom from pain and lethargy, unnecessary pain and lethargy, pain that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Tiredness, sluggishness that doesn't make sense. And then freedom to move my body the way I want to for as long as possible.
Yes. Longevity is really a value to me. Just being able to do what I want to do for as long as I can.
Yeah. And so then having a wife who's in a certain age bracket right now and following Dr. Mary Claire and some of these other people online and just seeing how important it is for women to lift heavy things, because that seems to be the number one kind of protective factor that you can start building into your investment strategy now on having the type of physical experience with yourself you want later on.
Yeah, and they're learning more and more about that. I mean, there's been a very small minority of research in the medical field and fitness on women in particular that I hope the tides are changing. But I think that recently I read a study about women having less cognitive decline and less chance of dementia if you lift. Leg strength is really connected to or correlated with having less cognitive decline aging. You know, and that all you have to do is lift. Great.
Yeah, so
I'll do that.
I've been super impressed. My wife, she has a super demanding job. She'll work sometimes 10, 12 hours. And I'll take some credit because without a supportive partner, there's no way that she could do it with a child. But she comes in either before while I'm cooking dinner or after while I'm giving a bath to a toddler. She's in there every single day working out for at least 30-35 minutes with weights and like just it has been a game changer for her.
Yeah. Well, I think, I feel better when I work out. I feel bad when I don't. I think the only thing that I kind of stick to as a rule around that is I try not to go more than 2 days. I have a 2-day rule with most things. It's like if I've gone more than 2 days, we're about to fall off the wagon and we're going to have to take our time getting back on.
Yeah.
And it's a process that I don't like. So I try to just stick to like.
So do you find, the way that you invest in those values, my guess is that you would tend to shy away from rigidity of like, well, I have to do this much volume or I have to do this many sets. And so a lot of times I would present it to clients of like, just have a minimum and a maximum.
Right.
Have your minimum threshold of like, I moved my body in a meaningful way today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so true. And that's something that, when I talk to clients in particular about like things they're trying to do, and they'll say like, well, I've done like, I just need to do like 3 days a week. And I'm like, well, you haven't even done it in like 3 months, so let's just talk about like, do it once. And let's just see how it feels, and let's go from there, And so I treat myself with the same flexibility. Yesterday was the prime example. It's funny enough we're talking about this because I started to have the thought of being hard on myself, and I was like, what are you talking about, man? So I had gone to PT. I'm dealing with like a low back thing that I'm working on. And I did a lot of leg stuff on Wednesday. So yesterday I'm like, I'm going to get the legs out of the way again, like do more like front legs, like quads and stuff. So I started with hip thrusts. I did probably more than I should have. Then I started doing Bulgarian split squats, which
those will get you.
Ugh, Then I started doing leg extensions and was like, I'm going to do 3 sets of 12. Well, the first set was fine. The second one I was like, I'm going to do 8. I'm going to do 8 reps. And then the next set I was like, I'm going to do 6 reps, and it was fine because I knew that my body was like, you can't do those. That's too many. And if you're already at a place of failure, like there's no point in trying to like hurt yourself,
Right.
Yeah. So I think that kind of flexibility to me is super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all good. Does all that make sense? Anything to add as far as...
No, I mean, I really think too, like just being a woman in this culture and society, like I want to be strong, I think, I remember back in the days when my mom would have like the Jane Fonda videos or whatever, and I think it's great because we're in a space where women are like, I don't want to be skinny. I want to eat the burger and I want to lift this heavy thing.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
So
less almond mom culture.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll eat the almonds too, but I'm still going to lift.
Yeah.
What's almond mom culture?
It's like the moms that kind of were very like calorie focused, and it was like you could have a handful of almonds, not necessarily like ingredient household mom, but like mom that's like very particular, no carbs, like get the carbs out of there. Or like we eat like once a day, and like then maybe if you're hungry for dinner, maybe. But, like, eating once a day is, like, enough. So, like, the kind of mindset that's, like, you have to be so thin. You have to be a certain weight. You have to, like, I mean, if you even think about having a muffin, go on a walk. Like, that type of culture. Yeah, which is, like, considerably less. Like, I 1,000% agree, though. Weightlifting and, like, being strong has definitely shown through more. And the burgers are good.
Yeah.
And women are learning too. Like I think CrossFit has done women a good service because I think that's where I started realizing like, oh, I need to eat more so I can do this.
Yeah.
And then I got stronger and I was pretty shredded back then, which is fine. It's okay that I'm not there today. But it taught me that, if I want to do these things, I have to like fuel my body properly. And that's great. Because I'm like, yes, now I get like 750 calories for breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the conversations that my wife and I have, because she's done this like Faster Way program, which is kind of like a Beachbody. I think it actually been spun off from Beachbody when Beachbody collapsed or whatever. And it's been fantastic because she needed the support, she needed a coach, and like they've got the built-in, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say that they're actual like lifting programs, but it's kind of like a HIIT with weights built in, which is good.
Yeah,
she's doing something. She's lost the body fat that she needed and wanted to lose. Yeah, and she's like tiny now.
Yeah,
And so now she's having this like conversation with herself to where since January she's basically been at a deficit, losing body fat.
Yeah.
And now she's talking about, like she is hungry. And I'm like, yeah.
How do I shift to maintenance? Yeah.
Right. How do you shift to maintenance? Or maybe even like surplus so that you can build muscle. Like
right.
She's not like she's toned, but she's not going to get stronger. She's not going to build muscle mass without putting more calories in her body. And,
I mean, that's the constant struggle is the the constant struggle anybody who's been in any fitness for a while knows is like, you can't get stronger if you don't eat enough. If you want to cut, you have to eat less. Is like, kind of figuring out what works at that time.
Yeah, and so I've learned though, except for whenever I'm talking about her on a podcast, to just not have an opinion about her nutrition.
That's probably wise.
And I'm just like, when do you want? What's for dinner tonight? And then I'll cook it. I just get I get the menu from her and a text throughout the day, and I make sure we have what we need, and I cook it, and I keep my opinions to myself because she's smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been really cool to kind of like see her transformation as well. Like she just, even though she's still not sleeping great and whatnot, because we have a toddler and she's in a perimenopausal, stage of life and things like that.
It's also another interesting part about physical fitness is
but I can't
perimenopause,
imagine if she didn't eat and move her body the way that she's been moving it for the last year, how we would have gotten through the last year.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah. Anyways, can I shift gears?
Yeah, sure.
So you're a therapist, and you're a therapist in Tennessee, and how are you doing?
That's a loaded, veiled question.
How are you doing with the world as the world is right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough world, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it just is, I guess, like my kind of philosophy with therapy in this culture is I deal with what's in front of me at the time while keeping in mind the systemic stuff that's happening around that person and how that might be influencing them, and do my best to triage sometimes emotionally, or, maybe we're working on something that's kind of ancillary to that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just about, to me as a therapist, I think there was an interesting little conversation back and forth on the Middle Tennessee Mental Health Professionals page. I don't know if you follow that.
Well, I do, but
the Facebook page,
yeah.
where they were talking about people who might be trans and going into therapy, and like, they were asking basically like, kindly, can someone tell me like, how do you handle that? Because they've had a lot of clients come in who are trans who've been fired by someone or told they can't meet with them. And yeah, I think it's really hard because my training has always been.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Therapists have been fired for working with people who are trans?
No, they're firing people who are trans, or saying like, well, I can't work with you because I don't agree with that.
Oh, therapists firing their clients.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Which is like, it's to me pretty wild because that's not what our code of ethics says.
Right. Have they been reported?
I don't know, but I do think that's a thing because, in Tennessee, I don't think that people have interpreted the law correctly, at least according to one therapist that commented on that thread about being able to not see someone because of differences in beliefs or something to that wording. Like, I'm not an expert in that, but I think it's concerning to me because I've had plenty of people, like kind of, this is probably getting into some other domains here, but I grew up in a strict religious Southern Baptist home, and then I escaped when I was 18. I actually moved out of my house the day after my 18th birthday. And so even now I get people who come to see me who are Christians, and they talk about their spirituality, and that's fine. That's cool. Like, if that's helping them in some way, I'm down with that. So I can't imagine.
I kept my ordination certificate up on the shelf.
Nice. Yeah.
Just so that people know I can speak that language.
Sure. I can speak that. Yes.
Because I can, like, and for the people who would invite it, it became very useful because I could bring in a parable or a passage or some concept, principle from a proverb or something.
Right.
And it was meaningful to them.
Right.
And then for those who
don't, sure.
Yeah, just leave it completely out.
Right. I just don't understand the idea that, it is kind of indicative of our culture of the divisive stuff that's going on. Like, it's divisive to say, like, well, I don't agree with you, so I can't help you. It's like, okay.
I had a therapist.
Bananas.
I had a therapist come to me yesterday morning and asked me if I so sometimes I mentor other therapists who are getting their practice started and things like that. And essentially it was like, hey, are you still working with, or is this person still kind of under your wing? And I'm like, not really. You know, like we chit chat every once in a while, but they're kind of successful doing their own thing now. I don't really have any sway there. And she showed me a comment from a Progressive Moms Facebook group, you know, of basically her child, a mother's child had been referred to this practice. And whenever the mother reached out to the practice, got connected with one of the providers, the provider declined to see the child because the child was in the LGBTQ community. And the therapist said, because of my Christian beliefs, I would not be able to affirm your child's lifestyle choices. And so I don't think that I would be a good choice.
Yeah.
And then what happened, which would be terrifying to me, you know who Rachel Wells is? So she's a journalist who wrote the piece on the Eastern Tennessee doctor who refused to provide prenatal care to the mother who was single.
Yeah.
And on that Tennessee, you know, based on that Tennessee law that was passed, that a medical provider can decline to treat a person based on their religious beliefs. And so so then that journalist jumped into the comments section, was like, hey, I would love to talk to you about this. And I'm just like, there is a way to navigate that that is not based on your religious beliefs. So like, if this person has zero experience working in the LGBTQ community, that they're not culturally competent in that arena, I think it's fine to say like, hey, full disclosure,
I'm not competent in this
I'm not competent in that arena or in that issue, and I want your kid to have the highest quality care possible.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't believe that's going to be me. That's about me.
Right.
That's not about how your child, there's something that I object to them.
Because that's the inherent message, is that you're wrong somehow.
Yes.
You know, which is not a great way to start therapy.
No, and that's like further traumatizing.
Yeah.
Because then it like makes the kid or like the mom feel like that they're, like you said, like that
They're
there's
doing something wrong.
Well, and I think that kind of goes into like the world in which we live now, with therapists being on social media. And I was talking to Shannon about it yesterday or the day before, and I think it was yesterday, I guess, but I was just like, this is where we're at. Therapy is mainstream. Everybody's seeking therapy. So a therapist can get on TikTok or Instagram and share the fullness of their personality, their biases, their opinions, their all of that stuff. And you don't have to be concerned about not having a full caseload because of that. Whereas before, when it wasn't so mainstream, you know, just maybe when we met even, like if you were controversial, then that might mean a half full schedule.
Right.
You know, but now everybody on all ends of the spectrum are seeking therapy. And so I think that that's a good thing and it's a bad thing. And I think
there's definitely pros and cons.
Yeah, and so then whenever a therapist gets online and they are posting about their political, religious, you know, whatever points of view, I think that's great, because it's, you know, we're people too. We should be able to exist in space like other people. And I think that it's something that I try to be super careful of.
Yeah. Same. I try to be conscientious about it. That's why my social media pages are private, you know?
Yeah.
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 Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, like, I love what you're saying. So, like, my thing is that, yes, we're people, we're humans. We shouldn't have to, like, water ourselves down just because this is the profession we chose. However, like, professionally, should you be sharing, like, all of these things? Like, why not just make everything private?
It's a really good question. I mean, I think, like, you know, being a neurodivergent person who specializes in neurodivergence, I will say, like, I think it adds value that I understand, like, that telling you to buy a planner is not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I have lots of empty planners at my house if anybody needs one. But, you know, I think there's some value in having some inside knowledge, but it doesn't. So I don't know. I mean, I think what you were saying is, like, there are pros and cons to people knowing those things about you. Like, I mean, yeah, like my son is autistic and he has a, not necessarily recognized subtype called pervasive demand avoidance. And, I kind of had to learn about that as he was getting older. And so I vetted therapists for him because I knew I needed to find somebody who actually understood that. So they were not going to come in and, probably get in a battle with me, honestly, about like, you need to use more behavioral strategies. And I would be like, hell no. Like, that does not work. Like, you want me to sit here and have this child escalate all day long? That's not going to work. Because I am a behavioral expert, but that's one of the reasons why I had to find somebody who I knew had a specialty in that, but I don't know that necessarily means that you have to tell someone that you are autistic. I think you can say I have specialized training or specialized awareness of an issue, so I guess that's kind of how I try to navigate it. If clients come to me, I tell them that I'm neurodivergent when they are, because sometimes they're like, oh gosh, thank you. Like, I know you understand. Right. Yeah.
I guess like the follow-up to that is like, because we're in such a day and time of social media and like everyone feels like they have to share everything, like the question is, should there be more rules of ethics, and like should there be more so of like guidelines?
There are guidelines around social media, but they're probably going to need to adjust as technology and social media and information changes too. I think there are some rules around social media from the ACA Code of Ethics, I know. Yeah,
but
there
it just like I did know that there were, but just like as it advances, like you're saying, like all of that is super helpful and like definitely affirms clients in the best way, but also like in a sense of people just making things so public, instead of like private. Like I don't want some clients to know that like maybe I do go to like certain concerts, or like if I did go out and about, like I don't want that to kind of like change the way they view me.
Yeah. I have a great story about that actually. I was back when I was doing CrossFit, like you ever seen CrossFit women in a gym, they wear like some short shorts, so
like a
I was
sports bra.
Yeah. I was at a friend's party playing beer pong, which, gosh, I hope people who haven't met with me yet don't listen to this. But I was at a friend's birthday party playing beer pong, which I'm pretty good at. And a client of mine walks in, and I was like, oh crap.
I am glad that you're telling a story.
Yeah. So I was like, what do I do? So I told my friends who drove, I was like, hey, we got to go. And they're like, why? I said, I can't really tell you. I just need you to like trust that we got to go. And they were like, they're smart, so they were like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, let's just get out of here. Like, I feel very uncomfortable wearing short shorts, seeing this client that I've met with for like almost a year show up to this birthday party, and I don't feel like I can be myself.
Did the client see you?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, great.
He thought it was hilarious, so he thought it was great.
Yeah, I've had those moments to where like I'm out to dinner it's actually happened twice at Burger Up and once at the zoo, and it's the same family.
Oh,
it's the same couple that I've seen for years, 2 or 3 years, and they've got kids, similar age to my youngest, and like we just run into each other, and like they always approach me. And one time I was there with my in-laws, and the whole family was there, and I just it's awkward, but it's also kind of like, well, they're just people and they initiated it, and so I'm just like, hey, yeah, these are my friends, like and so anyways,
I just never want anybody else to feel uncomfortable, It's like I'll take the discomfort, I just don't want anybody else to feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And so kind of getting into the values question of how, like your question of how do I want to experience myself professionally but in public, because with social media you either like there's ways of making your content private and things like that, but like we're doing a podcast and our personalities come through and we talk about our personal experiences. You talked about your brother and owning a house and things like that, and so you talked about your son being neurodivergent, things like that. And so how do you want to experience yourself as a professional in a very public experience in the world? Yeah, I mean, I really value, like, I can think of 2 value words that probably permeate all of these domains is connection and humility. Like, I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I show up as pretty genuinely who I am in therapy and outside of therapy. And connection is a big part of that, because I believe, like, you know, all the research is supportive of this idea. You know, it's not a crazy thought that it doesn't really matter what model you use. It's about the relationship you have with your client. And so to me, like, you have to work on yourself to be good at being relational. You know, so to me, like, there's not a problem we're going to come across in therapy that we're not going to navigate somehow, you know, because
and that is
of those
the
two
therapy.
values. Yes, exactly.
The problems that we encounter with one another, the differences in ideas, and the ability for you to tell me I don't like the way that you're, you know, I've had people on. I didn't stop, but like I absolutely hated and tried to avoid virtual sessions at all costs because I'm too distractible.
Yeah.
And if they saw that, like, my eyes, that, you know, I would have clients be like, hey, it seems like you're not looking at me right now. I'm like, you're right. Thank you for bringing that up. Then we'd have a conversation about, like, what was that like for you to have to, like, call out a professional, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's those kind of conflicts or micro conflicts. Like, that is the therapy. And
Tiny
to be able
ruptures.
to do that.
Yeah, or large ruptures. Yeah, it is being able to do that.
And so one of the things that I kind of struggle with, and I don't see a lot of clients anymore, but of just constantly feeling this tension between, like, I do want to show up in a podcast, or I want to show up on a TikTok, or I want to show up in Instagram, and I want to be myself, and I want to talk about my kids, or I want to, you know, like, I want to show myself in jiu-jitsu or whatever it is that I'm doing. And I know that there are clients who see these things, and having an awareness that adds an extra layer of filtering to it. To whereas, like, if I was maybe just like something else, not this, you know, I would probably be a little bit less inhibited.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, my strategy in that is just to not have people on I don't have anything out there about anything, you know, like, I probably should or will at some point, like, build an Instagram page about, like, just therapy stuff, you know, but it won't be anything about me personally. Like, I don't do that because I think when people come to see me, I want them to focus on their own issues. And, you know, there are times when I probably self-disclose more than some therapists do, you know, but it's a relational thing. And I also think that I do it for a reason. You know, I'm not a fan of the whole old school mentality that your therapist needs to be like a cardboard cutout who's just nodding. Like, my God, I would be bored to tears in like 2 sessions. But I think when someone, especially when people are talking about attachment stuff, or they're talking about things that bring a lot of shame, it's really helpful to normalize things, to be like, yeah, I've done that too. You know, I get it. Like, you know, and sometimes it helps them to hear that they're human.
Yeah.
Because you may be the only person they've shared this with. They have no idea. They don't know. I've talked to all my friends about all my demons. So, you know, like, they are validating. And so when somebody has the absence of that, I think it's important to use that as a connecting tool.
Yeah, absolutely. I found self-disclosure most impactful in working with couples.
Yeah.
Because the couple would be having this argument, and I'd let it go on, and I'd watch it, and then they would look at me for, like, some kind of response. And they're like, this is the dumbest argument I've ever seen. And I just had it with my wife last week. And just to kind of, like, normalize that,
this
you know,
happens.
you're not special here. This is happening, and it's happening everywhere. And, you know, so, like, that really, that connection point, and you bring it up, that something that is so important to not overlook is, like, the number one indicator of a positive outcome in therapy is how well you trust and like your therapist. It's not how smart they are, the letters behind their name, the fancy modality that they just got trained in. Like, the last marriage counseling session that my wife and I ever went to, or have gone to, not to say it's the last one we're ever going to go to, but the last one we went to, I was like, well, that's the last time I'm seeing that person, because she just kept dropping the names of all of these trainings and all these experts that she had studied under. And it was just like, I don't care. I don't care what you know. I need to know that you care about what's going on with what we're going through right now.
Yeah, like, ma'am, your ego is in the room.
Yes. It was, you could have cut through her ego with it was so thick.
I've been there too in couples therapy. I'm not married now, but I have been. And I know there was a therapist that I was like, if you say that to me one more time, I'm going to walk out the door. I'm not coming back in here because you're blaming me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not having it.
I was handed a card that had a script that I had to use. I had to only speak to my wife according to the script. And then then I had to flip the card, and then so if I was the initiator, this is the template that I could speak to her under, and then she had to be the listener and then or the inquirer. And so then and at some point I just threw the card down. I was like, I'm not doing this because this is not how people talk to one another.
It's not flexible. There are better, in
No.
my opinion, there are better ways to teach those skills than have somebody follow a script, because now they're not thinking about what they feel or what they need. They're thinking about what they're supposed to be saying. And I'm
Right.
like, okay.
Yeah.
I usually let them dialogue, and then I'm like, are you stuck? Do you need help? And try to meet them then and be like, okay, this is a good teaching moment. Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite question to ask couples is like, do you guys have any idea what you're fighting for?
All right.
Because it seems like you're really clear on what you're fighting about.
Yeah.
But what are you fighting for? And then when you get them to focus on that, that's more about the connection. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm fighting to be heard. I'm fighting for acceptance, or I'm fighting for understanding. I'm fighting for forgiveness. I'm fighting for validation, which is all about the quality of the connection, instead of I'm fighting about the dishwasher and how you never load it the right way.
It's not about the dishwasher. It's about
Yeah.
being seen. Yeah, I mean, and that all really is in attachment stuff. I bring that into couples therapy too, because it's all about that. I want to be valued. I want to be vulnerable. I want to connect with you. And when people can't connect, they do the same signal cries that they probably did as a baby. They're crying out loud. We just get really sophisticated in how we signal cry now.
So
You
when you're working with individuals on attachment, and my favorite people to work with were single people who were dating.
Yeah.
That's so fun to get those stories when you're not in that world and you're just like, yeah, sounds like shit. So,
Right.
it sounds impossible. I'm sorry you're going through that.
Yeah.
But how do you work through kind of a values assessment of as you're dating, because everybody says well, I'm gonna use this time to really work on me.
Yeah.
What do you think people mean when they get out of a relationship and they're just like, I'm just gonna focus on me for now. I'm just gonna, and then they are working on themselves. What do you think people mean by that?
I don't think they know what they mean by that a
I
lot of the
agree
time.
with you.
I don't think they know what they mean. I think it sounds like this is what people say, I'm just going to focus on me, But the moment that need for value comes up where they are not having enough self-compassion towards self, they're going to seek that out from someone else and maybe abandon themselves in some way. This is just one scenario. But I think you can have the best intentions, but your nervous system thinks that's really cute.
Do you think that a person can truly work on what they need to work on to be successful in relationships?
Absolutely,
as a
yeah.
single person?
Yeah, to an extent. I think you can't. I think that's two different skills. I think there are individual skills that you can learn up to a point, and it's complicated because depending on who you get involved with, I've never been a fan of the idea that you're stuck in one attachment style. I think we tend to lean towards one or another, but I think everyone is capable of secure attachment. But anyone who's being abused by someone is going to have whatever nervous system response they're going to have, Or if, you're capable of secure attachment, but your partner is super distant, you're probably going to feel some anxiety, But I just think, I'm not a fan of thinking that people are one way or another. I've certainly dated people that were clingy where I was, probably appearing avoidant because I'm I need space, or other times people are distant and I probably appear I'm needy because I'm I need you to not disappear, and that looks more anxious. So I think it just depends on your partner. So I think in some ways you can learn to regulate yourself. That's the most important thing I think for people in any relationship to learn is regulate yourself and then connect. Connection isn't really possible if you're not aligned and embodied in yourself.
So I couldn't agree more, and I like the way that you said it, up to a point. It's kind of like learning jujitsu or whatever it is, or dancing. Even learning how to dance, ballroom dance. I'm sure the listeners, all 17 of them, are tired of me giving jujitsu analogies, but ballroom dancing, it's you can watch it, you can read about it, you can get a book on it, you can study it by yourself, and up to that point at which you step on the dance floor with a live partner, it's all theory.
Oh yeah, experience is the only teacher there is.
Right,
is the best
and so
teacher.
without a partner that gives you that real-time feedback, all of the moves that you thought that you would be able to do are all just their theory until you are actually putting it into practice with another person. And I think relationships are like that. So I always just kind of like smirked a little bit on the inside whenever someone's like, yeah, I'm just really going to spend the next 6 months working on me. In my experience, that meant one of two things. You're actually really going to dig into your attachment styles. You're going to dig into self-regulation. You're going to dig into like your IFS type of parts and understanding that reactivity and all that energy, and how to like kind of rewrite the relationship that you have with those younger parts that create that intense reaction in certain situations. Or you just want to spend some time being very selfish.
Which is totally fine also.
And both are fine, and both can happen at the same time. But then whenever people get back into the relationship world and they start dating again, because there's just certain ways in which you're not activated by your friends. You're not activated by your siblings. You're not activated by your coworkers.
Not the way you are. I always say, like, it's like, you remember Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail, and he's like, bring out your dead. It's like, that's what it's like with your attachment stuff in a relationship. It's like, if you didn't notice it before, it's going to be like, bring out your dead.
Yep,
and here we go. Here it comes. And it doesn't matter who you're with, there's going to be something, you know? Yeah. Until you really learn how to heal that, which I think is entirely possible.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I would ask clients, and I'm curious what you think about it. So people who were dating, they would ask, you know, they'd be like, well, I want to figure out why I keep picking the wrong type of person. And their focus is so on the other person, and the type of person that they want, or the things that they want to get from the other person. And I would try to, you know, validate that's normal, but how about we approach it this way? What type of partner do you want to experience yourself being? So like, that's, I think, in my own relationships and in the relationships that I've seen others struggle in, it's not because the other person is a problem. Now, granted, there are abusive situations to where, yes, the other person is the problem.
Right.
But in most relationships that aren't that, it's you're just frustrated because you're not getting to be the type of person you want to be, because you think that this other person doesn't accept you or won't approve of it, and so you're editing yourself and you're resentful of it because you're not expressing your needs and your wants, and you're
it's complicated, right?
Let's just focus on who do you want to be in a relationship? How do you want to experience yourself as a partner? What type of things do you want to do for the other person? And then find a person that celebrates that, welcomes that, enjoys that.
Right.
You know, and makes space for you to be the full version of who you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. I think it really is about understanding your own attachment wounds and knowing, you know, I work from a framework that's from, it's called the DART method, Developmental and Relational Trauma Therapy, from Jan Bergstrom. And she trained under Pia Melody, that has written a lot of books, who was out at the Meadows. So I use that as a framework to help people understand their attachment wounds and like how that shows up today. But I think that's kind of what you're saying. Like when somebody's really focused on the other person, they're abandoning some part of themselves because they learn to do that in the pursuit of connection, you know? And so if they can learn to first connect with self, then guess what? Boundaries start to come up, right? Where you're like, that's where I am. Like, I like my peace. And if somebody wants to come in who is not going to have, you know, something to add to that or take away my peace, like, I don't want to be involved with you. You know, it's like somebody has to be also healed themselves.
Yes. And I don't know that this is what you're saying. I don't think it is, knowing what I know about you, but I think some people will hear that word peace. And then they'll take that and they'll run with it, and they'll be like, oh, you're upsetting me, or
you're disturbing my peace.
You're
like,
disturbing
don't
my peace.
Right.
And so then they cut people out instead of, I can't remember her name, but she's a wonderfully articulate clinician, and she talks about capacity of like, your job is to not protect your peace. Your job is to build your capacity.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've heard this before.
I wish that I could say things half as well as this. I think her name is Raquel.
Okay.
And I admire her so much because of the way she says it. She's just like, it's not growth is not about protecting your peace by building these impenetrable barriers around yourself.
Yeah, we
to
don't
where-
heal by avoiding any
No,
triggers
and so-
or prompting events. We
Yeah.
don't heal that way.
I think as a value in relationship, yes, I also value peace. I value knowing that I'm safe, and I think that's maybe what people are
Yeah.
really getting at. Is I just want to know that even if we do have conflict, we're still okay. I'm still okay. You're not going to harm me.
Right.
We can
Or
have.
you're going to be able to manage your own emotions, you know,
Yes.
because as a therapist, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do both jobs.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
you were talking about that on our last podcast. Of like, I
Yeah.
am not going to be my partner's
It's
therapist.
too much work,
Right.
and that's ended relationships for me where I've had to be like, okay, well, I have to figure out how to help navigate this conversation on the surface, but also have my own feelings and needs, and also help you understand what your feelings and needs are, because you're clearly not like expressing that, you know, and that's just too much work for me. So when I say peace, I mean like inner peace, not peace. There's not going to be peace in the world. There's no such thing as a world with no pain, you know, but you don't have to suffer. And so I just am at a point where I refuse to suffer.
There it
You
is.
know, it's like, I don't want to suffer. I stopped abandoning my 10-year-old self long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't want a project.
No.
Projects are, you know, fun, can be, but like not in a dating, especially when you're a therapist.
Sure.
And like
yeah.
your clients are, it's their own projects in a sense.
Yeah. It's too much work.
I'm my own project.
Yeah.
And I'm enough.
Yeah, me too. Like, I got
I'm
plenty to
enough
work
of a
on.
project for my.
Yeah. I have plenty to work on, and I've done the DART stuff myself, you know, so that helps me help other people understand, like, you know, it's like using person of the therapist to help people understand, like,
Person of the therapist.
yeah, like you're using your own experiences. You don't necessarily have to disclose what the experience is.
Yeah.
Like betrayal, I understand extremely well, right? So when somebody comes in and they have experienced some betrayal, I have an innate understanding of what that feels like. So I don't have to tell them that I've experienced that, but I use that information to validate them in a deeper way. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I like how you worded that.
Yeah. Yeah. You use the person of the therapist as a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I mean, most people who have a niche or a specialty, like they get involved in the niche or specialty that they had to confront or deal with. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something that they know about it most of the time.
Yeah. The wounded healer.
We're all wounded healers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us.
And if you're not, I don't trust you.
Exactly. Right.
I don't trust you. I need a pee break,
Okay.
and then I'm going to come back with a very loaded question
Uh-oh.
about the emotional mental domain.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of like, how do you want to experience yourself with your own thoughts and your own emotions?
Yeah.
And the backdrop to that is going to be with access to everything that we are exposed to about the world. And because I
question.
need the encouragement, I need some type of like help.
Yeah.
Because I was sharing, were we recording whenever I was talking about the dinner conversation last night? I don't think we were.
I don't think so.
Where normally I keep everything tamped down. I don't really talk about politics or any world happenings and my opinions and all of that stuff. And it just like leaked out for about 10 minutes on my family at dinner last night. And my family, like my 17-year-old, my 4-year-old, and my wife, and then they're all just like, it was the longest my daughter had been quiet because like Dad was animated, and I was just like, you know.
Unfortunately, on the way here, I called my mom to tell her happy birthday, and it devolved into a political discussion. And she was like, "I'm not gonna argue with you." I'm like, "Okay, have a happy birthday, bye."
Okay, so let's
yeah.
maybe kind of like work through some of that of how do we want to experience ourselves as people who are not oblivious,
Right.
and we are aware and we are engaged, but also we are not buried, because that's sometimes how I feel.
Right, and it's probably not arguing with your mom on her birthday.
Probably not. So the question on the table is not moving into the emotional mental domain right now, but what is our take on narcissistic therapists? And they do exist.
I feel like there's a lot. Like, I feel like there is so much more than people think. And you don't know until you're in it, obviously. Like a
Right.
toxic relationship.
Yeah, you don't know until you know.
So I know that I'm not classic narcissistic personality
No.
disorder,
Yeah.
as one who would say. But there are there are things that I'm aware of in myself of like, why did I gravitate towards this profession? So I was a associate pastor at a bunch of Southern Baptist churches, and you know, I grew up in an environment to where for the let me go back. I gravitated towards that because whenever I was 14, I got asked to lead the sermon or preach the sermon on a youth-led Sunday night service, and I did so. Have no idea. The only thing I remember is the outfit. And I don't remember what I said, but you know, if you're the preacher, you get to stand at the back of the sanctuary, and everybody leaves and they shake your hand and they tell you how great of a job you did. And that was the first time in my life that adults that I had looked up to my whole life of growing up in the church seemed to actually notice me, value me, appreciate me. Many of them told me that the Lord was going to do an amazing work through me. I was going to be something great. And that stroked a part of my ego that had never, like, it woke me up.
Yeah.
And so then I was just like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. So I went to Bible college and I got a degree in religious studies, and I worked in churches, and almost like serial dating, like the average tenure of a Southern Baptist minister back whenever I was doing it was about 12 months. Because there's and it's like 43% of Southern Baptist ministers like qualify for, like, they have narcissistic personality traits.
That's so interesting.
Right? And this is data from probably a good 15 years ago. So like maybe it's been updated, maybe it hasn't. But serial dating is kind of what it felt like. I would go to a church, I would get voted in. Everybody would approve of me. Everybody would be so excited, and you know, the Lord's going to do such a great thing. And then probably 12 months to 18 months in, you know, the shine wore off. And so then I'd be like, oh, the Lord is calling me to another church.
Right.
You know, and type thing. So, I don't know how we got on that, but that's so how did I get into this? Well, whenever I was like, okay, writing's on the wall, my marriage is not going to last. You can't be a Baptist minister and be divorced. I'm going to have to figure something else out. And so I got a degree in social work, and I was like, okay, because what is it that I like about ministry the most? And it was sitting with people and having my ideas be regarded as truth, and you know, and fortunately I've become aware of that, and I you know, how to not be that way in therapy, and I did fall in love with the practice and the discipline of doing therapy and things like that. But the best thing that a client could ever say to me was, I never thought about it that way.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, the ultimate ego stroke for me. And so like I'm aware that I have, and there's something narcissistic about that, I think, of like, I'm helping you, and you came and you're paying me money for me to give you my thoughts, ideas, and reflections and validations and hold space for you. Like, there's something about it that I think is inherently kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime there's like any performativeness to some career or job, like that's going to attract people that have narcissistic tendencies. But I think, like, you know, I'm kind of like, I'll make a point, I swear I'll get there, but there's like in the core wounds stuff that you learn in the DART method, you know, like the core wound of feeling valued is what leads people to either operate from a one-up or a one-down position, is their theory or how they look at it, you know. So you're talking about people that are grandiose, who have ego, who are like, I am worth more than you. And then some people, when they don't feel valued, they end up on the other end of that spectrum to feel shame. And they are in a place of feeling worth less than others. And so I do think like that comes from attachment stuff and not feeling valued. And it's funny you're talking about that, because I was probably on the opposite end, where like if someone gave me a compliment, I was suspicious. You know, and every once in a while someone will be really kind to me and it will make me cry, because I'm like, oh my God, like I don't deserve to be kind. I don't deserve to have people be kind to me, which is silly. But yeah, I mean, that's, I think what happens is that you don't feel valued. And so then when someone starts to value you, it's like, oh, that feels really good. That feels way better than feeling this crappy, like, feeling of not being seen or valued by my caregivers, you know?
Yeah.
And so I do think that that's kind of how everybody can have some elements of that. You know, and some people can ping pong back and forth. But I do think that people who develop a personality disorder, it's more pervasive, but everybody has some traits that can seem narcissistic. You know, I hate that it's like such a popular term, you know, but it's not a trait, or like you know, there's traits and adaptive strategies that equal personality. You know, it's like people have adaptive strategies that might seem grandiose, but I think that a narcissist has a pattern, you know, and that's where you start to pick up on it.
Yeah.
You know, like neurodivergent brains are really good at pattern recognition.
What's your
you
hobby?
know? Pattern recognition.
Yeah, pattern. I saw that Instagram
That's my hobby,
story.
is pattern recognition.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me a logic puzzle or a Sudoku. I'm like, pattern recognition is what I love. Or people's emotional problems, you know. But I do think there's something about, like, the Southern Baptist world. I mean, we could probably talk about that all day, but there's something about the performative nature of wanting to be in a position above everyone else. And I do think that some people get into the therapy field because they are narcissistic and they want other people to depend on them, rely on them, and make them feel good about themselves and like them or whatever. And then they start practices where they have other people, like young counselors who are green, who don't know any better, you know, because they're trying to figure out like what's actually normal in this field and what's not. They don't know. And so they end up getting people who will just continue to be their supply source of ego, and then they exploit them, in my opinion.
Yes, they cultivate this environment that strokes their ego, and they get these people that are young and green and trap them, and then make them think that,
feel
like,
trapped.
Yeah. And they make them think you're not going to do any better. This is the best you're going to get. I experienced a toxic environment similar, and I was told you're not going to get any better pay. You're not going to get any better benefits. This is the best you got. Like, take it while it's here.
At your previous practice?
One previous to that.
Oh, okay.
And
that's wild to me, by the way.
Yeah. And there was like, it was an encouragement. It was like, this is the best that you're going to get. Me being very corely rebellion, in a sense. Like, don't tell me that this is the best that I'm going to do, because I will one up you.
That's my motivation too. Like, tell me I'm doing a terrible job, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do better. But if you're like, you're doing a great job, I'm like, I kind of want to quit now.
Right. It doesn't, there's not excitement. It's like, again, going back to like the intensity value is like, I'm just very intense. Like,
so you're saying that if I was to go to you and be like, Ashley, don't even think about leaving, because this is the best it's ever going to be for you. Like, you're never going to find another practice that's going to support you and give you the autonomy that I give you, and this pathway to promotion. Like, forget about it. So just might as well just, like, you know, plan on retiring here. Right. You'll be gone in about a month.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. Not in a sense of like, but I truly, though, like, at this practice,
you don't have to say it.
I can feel like it is completely different, right? But like, when someone tells me this is how it's gonna be, you're not gonna do any better, I'm like, all right, well, hope you're watching.
Well, I think that's great, because you should question like something rigid like that. I mean, cognitive flexibility is correlated with best mental well-being, right? I mean, so I think no one should ever, I hope that there are master's level counselors that listen to this, because I will say, like, the one thing you should always keep in mind, if someone tells you that you shouldn't go looking to see what other options, or they tell you things like, well, it's wrong for you to be disclosing this to other people or looking things up on Reddit, then you should run really fast. Because I think, like, part of being a therapist, the core values that make a therapist good, one of them is openness, you know, and there's that flexibility again. So I think if somebody brings me a problem, even with me, I'm going to help them solve it, even if it involves me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think if somebody tells you shouldn't be seeking information elsewhere, that's because they're trying to hide something from you, and they don't want you to know that there are actually other options.
Well, and one of the things that I think that I accidentally, I don't do this on purpose, but I think that just because I'm uninterested, but I don't know what other practices are doing.
Yeah.
I don't know how other practices are paying. I don't know what other practices culture and their benefit structure. I don't know what a single other company is doing in this town.
Yeah.
And I don't care, because I know that I'm doing within my set of values on how I want to experience myself as an employer. like I'm experiencing myself the way that I want to experience myself, in the way that I pay people, support people, give them autonomy and promotion, all of that stuff. That's all that matters to me.
Right.
Now, and I'm completely open to whenever a therapist comes to me and says like, hey, I've been working here for such and such time and I want to do this and I think that I should make this. I've never shut down a conversation like that, ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, yeah, the numbers are there. You've been doing a great job. It sounds right to me. Or the numbers aren't right. They're not there right now. I can't do it right now, but here's what I can do. And there's always like a negotiation that happens.
And
so,
as it should be, right? You know, I think the reason I know a lot of things is because I supervise people, you know, for licensure. So I get a lot of people from different like places that they work. And, you know, I've worked in a lot of different places myself. But I hear these things and I'm like, no, don't ask me for the truth because you're going to get it. You know, like if you say like, is this a normal practice? I'm going to be like, well, some people do that, but you know, and it's my opinion that I don't agree, but I'm still going to help that person figure out how to, just like I would with a client, help them navigate how to get what they need in that environment until it becomes really clear that they're just not going to get it. And then they have to decide either you're going to live without that or you're going to go find somewhere else that you can. Same thing with relationships, you know?
Yeah, and employment is a relationship, and that's what, it's a different type of relationship to where it's a business relationship. And I fully am on board that if you find something better, that like whenever Catherine Cabin left the practice, like she left, she was one of the very few that has ever left willingly before getting her licensure done here. And it's because over a Christmas holiday or whatever it is, she had found another practice that was more in line with her niche. Yeah. And we don't really have it. She was the expert here and she was still getting her hours on that niche. Yeah. And so it made sense. Like, sure. And it was like, please go.
Why would you want to block someone from growing in the direction they want to go?
100%. Like,
and she's fantastic, by the way. Like, I've talked to her multiple times.
Oh, Catherine's amazing. I love Catherine. And it was such an honor to have her here, and it was such a benefit to have her here with her expertise. But yeah she's a newer, younger, growing, learning therapist, and she needed an extra layer of expertise that we could not provide. Right. And so I was like, yeah, happy to see you go. That's fantastic. And so, yeah, I don't get that whole mentality of, I don't know.
A scarcity mentality.
There is no, that's one of the things that I learned really quickly is like, I'm not in competition for anybody.
Why would you want to be?
Like somebody else's success does not equate to my failure. I'm not in competition with anyone else out in this space, even though it's kind of like there is a finite number of clients out there, but we haven't scratched the surface on that yet because you know, we still get 70 to 80 referrals a month and they keep coming in and other therapists are not responding at all. Right. You know, and so like...
Well, there's a finite number of hours that you can do therapy, you know? It's like, I can't, you know, when I was doing DBT, like I did it for 10 years, you know? When I was doing DBT, like, I'm like, great, I can't take this many high-risk people at once. Like, please, help us. Help the community.
Yeah. So anyways, narcissistic therapists.
And that's why, here's why this is so problematic, is what I was telling her on the break, is that narcissists don't actually have the empathy that you want them to. But because you're in a field of counselors and therapists, we do. Most people get into this field because we like to help people. We want to help people learn and grow and be the best version of themselves. And when that's your mentality with someone who's narcissistic, you're filling in the blanks of emotion for them. Like they're not actually feeling that. You're putting that there because that is how you think about people. You know, it's like we see others as we are, not as they are, right? So we're looking at this person who's narcissistic and trying to, like, our brains are trying to make sense out of why our nervous system feels dysregulated around them. But our brain is like, well, you know, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. And I'm sure they thought about this. I'm sure they feel that way. No, they probably don't. You know, they probably don't think about you at all. They don't think about you as a human, or they would ask you how you feel.
Yeah.
Right. I think that could be a whole podcast episode.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
So do you guys like linger on with thoughts about your clients after sessions?
It depends on who it is. I mean, I think if there's a problem that I feel like I'm not solving, or like something that is still kind of brewing, you know, like I'll think about it. But I've done this for a long time. Like there's always going to be something that surprises me. I can't know everything. but some of the patterns are the same. There's just nuances to the pattern, right? But I definitely think that I care about people genuinely. It's not like I just show up to work and I'm like, you know, in and out, whatever. And when things happen in my actual day-to-day life, I do connect that to people I'm meeting with or think about them, you know? And usually it's in a hopeful, like, oh man, I hope so-and-so is doing okay, you know? Or I hope they're really, like, staying regulated this week, you know?
I
For
do.
themselves.
I agree.
I think about like past former clients that I had seen for a while, and then like we terminated or they just moved or whatever it is. I'll think about them from time to time and be like, I wonder what's going on with them. But not never. It would be rare if like I like lost any kind of like focus on my family or whatever after work on clients.
Yeah, it's not a common occurrence. I mean, like I said, I think they're passing thoughts, but my brain is the type of brain that has a running commentary all the time. So, I mean, there's always like something going on in there that's trying to connect with all the things that I'm taking in. Yeah.
So that's an interesting. Have you ever done psilocybin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not therapeutically, but it was therapeutic.
Did that narrative quiet?
I'm trying to think if that did or not. It's been a really long time, you know.
So I don't have that narrative, except for the times that I've done psilocybin.
Interesting.
It gets so loud to where like the first time I ever did it was in Glacier National Park with my two best friends.
Yeah.
Drove them absolutely crazy because I did not stop talking for 8 hours.
Yeah.
So like the opposite effect.
It was I had this opposite effect of like all of a sudden there's such a draw into myself and an awareness of what's happening inside my internal world to where it was just like this show that I was just like projecting out of like all of the thoughts and the visions and I was narrating it out loud. And then like I remember it was like hours of this going on, and then eventually like we're just like all the lights are out and they're trying to go to bed, I'm in bed, and I'm just still just like narrating all of the thoughts and ideas that I'm having. And my friend Jeff is just the sweetest, gentlest, most like he's very mature, and he was just like, Benji, I love you and I'm so glad that you're having this experience, and you have to be quiet now.
Wow.
I was like, I'm so sorry, Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
that's so funny because I live with this every day. Like my son is constantly commentating out loud. You know, it's like his thing. He's like, yeah, and then I'm gonna do. I don't know. Did you see that? Oh my god! Did you know how this works? And mine is
Rudy
internal.
Mac does that. Yours is 12. Mine's 11.
Oh my
He gets in the car when I pick him up from school, and I'm just like, I didn't ask you about any of this. And it's just like I'm hearing about football, I'm hearing about movies, and I'm hearing about music.
I wish
and
it
I'm
was
hearing
about that. I get like, what do you think happens when people die?
Oh no, I get some of that too. Yeah, I get
Like I'm not ready for this.
I get the
discussion right now.
existential philosophical questions sometimes too.
They start that early sometimes.
Yeah,
you know? It's pretty crazy.
Jamin used to do like the what ifs.
Oh yeah.
Like what if? What if? And I'd be like, then that would happen.
Right.
Like,
Follow it all the way through.
oh my goodness. And both of my boys are ADD, ADHD, so it can.
I don't remember what that experience was like. I do know, like, I didn't start taking Adderall for ADHD until I was 40, you know? And so when I started taking it, the first time I took it, I cried because I was like, oh my gosh, is this how normal brains feel? You know,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
such
like,
a common thing that I hear.
the clouds parted. It was like, oh,
It's a clear windshield.
and I was like, oh, I can see everything without everything getting in the way. You know, it's like my brain is like a high processing speed where it's just going all the time. You know, and I have to make myself slow down. Like meditation and stuff is what I do to do that. But if I don't, sometimes I can go through a whole day without checking in with myself, and I don't even know where my thought life has taken me. Like if I let it go, it's going to go. I mean, I'm thinking about, I say this all the time, how do T-Rexes sleep at night? You know, I might be pondering that one minute, and the next minute I'm thinking about what's going on in the political climate, you know, and the next minute I'm thinking about, oh, who am I meeting with in an hour, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes
That's like in a minute.
So
How do T-Rexes sleep at night is going to haunt me.
It is. I hope that you think about this because I've given it a lot of thought.
It's going to haunt me.
Wow.
so how do they sleep at night? Is there a punchline, or is this?
Well, you think about their little arms. It's like mechanically speaking, did they
Yeah.
lay down? Did they sit up? Like, how did they sleep and get up? Did their tail, like, did they hit their tail on the ground and then pop back up? like a burpee.
You've really thought about this.
Think about it all the time.
That's so interesting. My brother has ADHD, undiagnosed, but like living with him, you know, it is apparent. And his process is the same. And we bought a house, so like the house projects wise, like it's gotten really spicy. I'm like, wow. Like, I get it. I have so many clients that have ADHD, and I'm like, I understood from like a therapeutic sense, and then they talk about like their experiences with their parents or like with a significant other, and I'm like,
yeah, that's like a complicating factor too. And I think like, so people with ADHD do get involved with narcissists, you know, because you know, we have this thing about forgetting. Like, if something's not right in front of us, we don't think about it anymore. So I think that's a pretty common occurrence, because people with ADHD, like, they forget like what happened last week. And I've had clients I've had to remind, like, do you remember last week when you said this person like kicked you? They're like, oh, I forgot about that. I'm like, yeah, that was last week. You know, that happened last week. I still remember. I wrote it down, you know. But that also happens, that I think probably therapists who work for narcissists do the same thing. You know, they make excuses for them. They make allowances for whatever that person's behavior is. And if you're not trained to know what that looks like, you just think it's you.
Or if you don't ask questions, like if you're just not a curious person and you're just like going along with the motions.
Yeah, for so long though, I mean, the religious upbringing that I came in, it's like you don't question authority at all. So it's kind of like, well, then it is you. Like, if it's not going well, well, you need to be the one to adjust. You need to be a better servant. You need to be a better follower.
Oh my gosh,
you need to be a better this, that, or the other. And then at some point you just kind of raise your head up and you're just like, I'm gonna drown under that if something doesn't change.
Yeah, it's like I was a gifted kid. I had ADHD and didn't know it. It was inattentive, you know, and I also struggled a lot with social anxiety and depression. And I think that's probably why I became a therapist, like bookmark that. But I think you know, the messages I got were, well, you're just not praying hard enough, or oh, you're down, like, well, you just need to read your Bible and pray more. And I'm like, well, there must be something wrong with me that I can't figure this out, because I realized I was a smart kid, and I was like, I guess it is me. Like, surely they would tell me if it wasn't, you know, like, I'm doing all these things, but it's not working. And so that just made me suppress and suppress and suppress. You know?
And I've become hyper skeptical and like vigilant against any institution or system that requires me to think of myself from a deficit perspective. Like, I'm only good because you say I'm good, or I only belong because you say I belong. Or the you know, like any of that, whether it's in a relationship, like you're talking about, like it's never going to get better, you know, like
how do you know
this is the best you're ever going to have it, or the only good in you is because of the good in some deity that, you know, whatever it is, like outside of that you're screwed. Well, I don't know.
If you need a framework or somebody to tell you like what's moral, like that's interesting to me. Yeah, because you should, if you're aligned with self, you feel that, you know, you feel when you've done something wrong, you know, like your nervous system is operating as it should, but we learn from systems like that not to pay attention to that. Well, don't suppress that. That's not welcome here, you know. And so then, like we're all inherently valued, but sometimes our surroundings don't reflect that back. Yeah.
Well, and that goes into, like you just said, that your body will tell you if you're out of alignment with yourself. And so again, coming back to the 8 domains, like that was where this came from. It was a bunch of 20s and 30-year-old individuals who are in that like quarter life crisis stage of life, of like, it's supposed to be something better than this. Like, I did the thing that everybody told me I was supposed to do. I went to college, I got the degree, I'm in the corporate job, I've got the partner, and I'm building the life, and I'm just like, it's still not working. It's still not clicking. And it's just like, well, where are you putting all of your energy? And most of the time, all of their energy was in this, the work-life balance. Of like, I'm spending 60, 70, 80 hours. I have no boundaries with work. I work from home. I work from the beach. I work at night. I work my emails on my phone. And then it became like, well, is that the way it's supposed to be? Or is there more to you than work? And then just like whatever work leaves after is life.
Right.
And so then designing this, like, work is one of 8. It's important, but it needs to be in balance with the rest of life.
Oh yeah, and there's lots of research data on how important work is for happiness and well-being too.
Yeah, and so the fact that people were just like so dissatisfied with their lives, then we start talking about like recreation and relationships and and finances and physical health and what about your connection to something greater than yourself, whether that's a deity or just like nature or whatever it is, and discovering that people really had no sense whatsoever of what was important to them.
Right. Well,
outside of keeping a job.
Well, because if there's that external voice that's saying this is what should be and that isn't working, then it has to come back to what is actually important to me. What are my values?
Yeah. All right. So I said that when we came back from the break, this is what we would talk about, which is what is important to me and what is my values. And so one of the things that I've noticed about myself over the last probably 2 months is that I am experiencing myself as someone who is consuming media in a way that is challenging me in ways that never did previously, to where I am more consciously aware of things happening in the world, many of which I feel completely powerless over, but also compelled by at the same time. And I don't know exactly, so I don't know sometimes what to do. And so then I just keep scrolling, hoping that an answer is going to arrive. Like the answer is going to be in the source of the problem somehow. And so as a therapist, I don't see clients, so like I don't really talk to people about this much anymore, but like you both see clients actively. Has this come into your spaces of like the doom scrolling? And again, I hold 2 values of awareness, right? I value knowing what's happening in the world because I believe it's important. I would not want, if it was the most visceral thing that happened to me recently was I opened up TikTok and the first thing on my For You page was an image of a little girl that looked just like mine, but she was covered in dust and blood, and she was screaming.
From Palestine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it almost felt like I was seeing something that I wasn't meant to see.
Right.
And my brain, it immediately was like, I need to care about this. And then it was like, but you can't do anything about this. So
it's
you
a strange
probably
place
need
to
to
be.
disconnect from it somehow before it takes you under. And then I was like, but if
It feels wrong to disconnect from
but
it.
if I was her dad, I wouldn't want people to just be like, scroll. I would want it to matter. And so like, how do I make it matter? Like, these are the big questions I think people are really struggling with now from a values perspective of like, how do I hold the value of empathy and compassion in a world where everything seems to be too much?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always go by, like, understanding must always precede advice, and I think, like, you mentioned, like, the solution is somehow in the problem, and I'm like, yeah, it probably is, but I think there's so many problems, and it's all kind of been happening more recently with just technology and social media and all the things going on in the world right now. I think there's a lot going on. It's almost like, I read from the Place of All Wisdom Instagram, somebody described it as like having a tiger in your living room, like that's sleeping. Like you may not be like really focused on it in that moment, but you're kind of like keeping a side eye on it because you want to make sure that it doesn't hurt you, And so I think that social media plays that role for people where you're looking at the news and seeing like what's actually happening in the world because you don't want to not know. Because not caring is a privilege in my opinion. Like to say like I'm apolitical or I don't care, it's like, okay, great, because that comes from a place of privilege. Like whether you realize that or not, you don't have to care because it hasn't affected you directly, but that does not mean it's not affecting other people directly. And so I think it's about going back to openness, being open to hearing people's stories. It is stories that connect us, it is what happens to people in their life that connects us, and turning a blind eye and just saying like, I don't really care about that. Like, okay, that's just not a value that I hold. I can't ignore it, but I also hear you that there has to be some balance between, I don't think our nervous systems are designed to take in this much input.
No. And that's the thing is like, simultaneously, I'm consciously aware of things going on in the Ukraine, in Gaza,
Right.
In Chicago,
Right.
in Minneapolis,
Right.
in Florida, in, you know, like all, like I, and then you're left with this sense of overwhelm to where you're just like, what the fuck do I do? Like, what I.
Yeah, and it's really like, so to me, there's a parallel here with like, you know, not just Southern Baptists, but the kind of like religious control beliefs. That's the same thing. That's like, well, I don't believe that's true, so it's not, you know? So like you're seeing reality from a lot of different sources. And when you tell some people that, they're like, that's not true. What? So you're constantly having to like justify the reality you see around you to people now. Some people will validate you and some people will not. So it's also like this battle of like, what is actually real, you know?
Well, and that brings up a good point too, because in addition to seeing things from trusted news sources, right? I'll get Instagram direct messages from people. Like one came in the other day sent from a guy that I kind of know, and I don't know him that well, but I know him well enough for him to be sending me Instagram reels and memes. And it was a picture of Trump with a young 14-year-old blonde-headed girl. And then the video was all like, I Googled it and it's real. And then it was like, who do you think that is? And then it was like insinuating that was Pam Bondi. And then I just like a simple, quick ChatGPT question, hey, is there a picture of Donald Trump with Pam Bondi when she was 14 years old? ChatGPT laid it out. No, the picture in question is with some model from one of his, pageants that he owned, blah, 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 blah. The picture was taken in 1997. Pam Bondi would have been 34 years old. And so then I just like screenshotted that and I was like, dude, fucking check before you repost shit.
Yeah.
Like, it is more important than ever to just do 30 seconds of verification before you we are living in the largest, most dysfunctional version of the telephone game
Yeah.
that has ever existed.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Like you learn this shit in kindergarten, to how to not spread rumors.
Right.
Is that I say it to you and then you say it to her in a slightly different way, and by the time it gets back around to me, it's like, completely false, but nobody is stopping to just say like,
is that actually true?
Is that actually true or not? And so, that's why, again, like the algorithms that we are like mined.
Yeah. I think
Like,
ChatGPT is going to become not reliable either.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually all of it is going to be not reliable.
It's whoever owns it is going to have a narrative there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really
And
hard to know
I'm
what's
clear,
real.
like a lot of times, like I'll whenever a recent thing happened, when the ICE facility, there was a mass shooting at the ICE facility. I prompted in like, hey, what's happening? And ChatGPT gave me things and I could see that there was speculation. And I was like, I want nothing but verified facts.
Yeah.
And then it completely changed the narrative. So it's like, even then, if you just like are checking of like, so anyways, it's going to become, like you said, impossible at some point to like really know what is what, which is scary.
It is.
Because when I was a kid, I remember like you turned on the nightly news and whoever was the CBS anchor, he just like reported to you what facts were happening, what events were taking place, without all of the extra commentary and opinion, and this is what you should think about this, and this is why it's happening. It was just like, this is what's happened. And then you could decide from there.
What you believe about it, yeah. But yeah.
Which I miss.
Yeah, me too. Well, simpler.
Yeah.
Not simple anymore.
No, absolutely
So
not.
overcomplicated, but also like there is no balance, it seems. Like, not even that it's just so complicated, but there is no balance, and people like kinda don't want balance, it seems. Like, they're cool so in some cases.
No, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
think that there is an addiction to outrage.
And that's bananas and scary.
And I think the reason why people don't do the thing that I said that they should be doing, which is like go and fucking verify the rumor before
check it out.
It's because they don't want to not be able to do it. They don't. They don't want those reins.
Yeah.
They don't want to pull the reins on themselves because then they're not a part of the culture of outrage. And so then what are you a part of then, if not that? Because that's all there is right now is outrage.
Because people want to be a part of something
Yeah.
at all times.
And then if you're thinking about being in a state of constant intermittent outrage, it's like, how good are you going to be at solving any kind of problem? Like, not good at all, you know, because no one solves problems when their amygdala is the thing that's taking over their brain, you know? No one's going to be able to think well, clearly, or access any of that cognitive function that helps you solve problems. So it's like everybody's like, you know, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Ah, the sky is falling.
Yeah.
And everyone's just running around like, it's still falling, you know?
So I'm going to make a prediction.
Yeah.
I'm going to say within the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to look at social media the same way that we look at smoking now.
Oh, okay.
I wonder, yeah.
Where everybody thought it was cool. Everybody, it was like just totally normal. This is what we do. We light up a cigarette no matter where we are. And I think now we're seeing the effects that it's having on kids. We're seeing the effects that it's having on ourselves as adults even. Like, my brain has changed over the last 20 years. You know, since getting a Facebook back in 19, you know, not even 19, but like 2000, you know, I don't know. I had a MySpace.
I think it was
So, like, it's changed
2010,
since then over the last 20 years. And so I think that we're going to look at that and we're going to say, like, it is as damaging to the health and well-being of human beings as, you know. So, like Jonathan Haidt, I was telling you about that. My wife loves to quote that book. Like, Jonathan Haidt wrote the book, The Anxious Generation, talking about, like, the rate of adolescent suicidality and mental health crises when it spiked coincides with the front-facing camera on an iPhone. Same year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it accesses the brain's reward system, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, kids get addicted.
Yeah, adults get addicted.
They sure do.
Yeah, I'm 43, and I will admit, like, I have a problem with my phone.
I was talking to someone about this last night. I was like, you know, after someone was shot in Chicago by ICE, I don't know if you saw that story, but it made me so sad that I was like, I do not need to feel this way all the time. Like, I may need to, you know, cut down the amount of time that I'm scrolling through things because it's...
Well, and that's the thing is, like, that matters, and 20 years ago, it still would have mattered. And the people of Chicago would have wrestled with it. It would have been in their local news.
In their community, right.
And their community would have responded. And now, everyone in the world is aware of every tragedy in the world all at the same time. And so, like, when there's not tragedy happening in your world, you're experiencing it as though it is, which is not good. Like, that's the thing is, like, there's nothing wrong happening in my life right now, but somehow I feel like everything wrong is happening in my life right now.
Yeah, I do think it's important, like, you know, to balance out the social media algorithms that you have with positive things, you know. I try to make sure I have things popping up that are, like, positive stories of connection and things like that, because it does help kind of offset that and not make you feel like it's all gloom and doom.
Do you remember the John Krasinski's Some Good News?
I think I remember that.
During the pandemic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that something like that existed. Like, there's Tank's Good News, and there's, like, the Good News accounts on Instagram and things like that. But John Krasinski would get on there. It was like a 12 to 15 minute, almost like a sketch. It was funny, and he was just talking about positive things happening in the world. And there was one to where, like, the cast of Hamilton kind of, like, did a flash mob on a Zoom call with a little girl who was a fan of Hamilton, and, like, just seeing her shock. And it's just, like, heartwarming and things like that. But yeah, we definitely need some counterbalance to happen. So and honestly, the counterbalance is whenever I go home and I see my 4-year-old who's completely oblivious to all of the tragedy in the world, and everything is magical in her eyes, and just finding those little moments to connect with her and to experience life as she's experiencing it, that really is something that, you know, I know that I have access to, and I try to lean into as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Did we cover everything that you wanted to cover today?
I mean, there's always things to cover, you know.
Anything that you just really have a burning desire to get to?
Not really. I don't think so. I mean, you're talking about like mental and emotional, like how do you want to experience yourself in those realms? I mean, I think it's, balance, you know?
Yeah. A lot of I mean, for me, I know that something is happening, like I'm processing and I'm going to get around to like that actual activation of change. And I know this about myself of like, I've got to wrestle with it first before, even though I know the right answer, the solution is turn your damn phone off, use it as a tool, not as an entertainment portal.
Yeah.
Right. But I need to like wrestle with myself enough to get there, right? Go through those stages of change with it. But, part of my values in the emotional mental is that awareness of like having the conversation with myself, really parsing it out, struggling with it, and giving myself the space and the time to arrive at it fully on my own. Like, I don't know, I own it better that way.
Yeah.
You compartmentalize, kind of.
The problem is I used to do that super well, and now I'm struggling with it. Like this experience with social media has broken down a lot of the walls that I used to be able to depend on being there to compartmentalize things.
Yeah, I think I've been painfully aware of everything since I was like out of the womb. You know what I mean? So I feel like I've always been super aware of things. And yeah, I don't know that necessarily anything that's going on social media is like, you know, it's just a different awareness of the whole world, like you said. But it makes me wonder if we're evolving in that way. You know, I mean, I know it's always easy to point out the negatives of things, but I'm always kind of like, but what about the other side of, you know, evolution of that, you know, over time and what that's going to look like eventually? Maybe we get to the pendulum swing of no one wants to look at social media anymore. Maybe it evolves into something else. But it's like what you choose in those moments is what determines the outcome, right? It's like you can choose to drown in the darkness, or you can choose to wrestle with that and pull the gems out of the rubble, you know?
Well, and I think to that point, I saw something just earlier this week of there are services now to where Gen Z, they're hiring people to just go for walks with them.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they're like parents are hiring people to take their teenagers for walks out in nature.
Why?
To like unplug them from devices, from all social media, and just have real conversations with them.
The brain needs that so much, like to slow down. Like
I used to walk with my clients.
Yeah.
I'd go out on the McCabe Park Greenway and just walk for an hour. It was like a perfect loop. It was, I mean, I could do the loop in 50 minutes flat.
Yeah.
And we would just, I mean, sometimes I'd do 5 or 6 sessions out there, and it was lovely.
Yeah, it's important. Like looking at nature and things, I feel like is also, that's a huge part of my life and how I, you know, want to show up is like connecting with not just people but also the world around me. I mean, I think that having a sense of awe and wonder is what makes us feel like we're all interconnected.
That's how I define my values is inspirationally.
Yeah.
Is I want to be able to always connect with a sense of awe, which is I don't need to explain it. I'm going to accept it. This is grand, and I'm going to let it be that and be amazed by it.
Yeah.
And then wonder. I'm going to try to understand this. I'm curious. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to like dig into the philosophy behind it and things like that. Like, and both of those things connect me to a sense of like I'm finite, and there are things beyond me that aren't.
Yeah.
And that's okay, and that's good, and I can spend time in awe and wonder with those grandeur things.
Yeah, I think people they're moving away from that and need to come back to
For sure.
slowing down, being outside, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Touching grass. But are parents like paying their like what is because I'm
that,
hung
aren't you?
up on this. Like is it like a therapeutic? Like is it like
No, I
this
think
is a
it's
great
it's like
outlet?
It's like parents are paying people to walk their children.
Because they can't pry the phone out of the hand? Like what is like
I think it's something like that. It's like they're trying to encourage their kids to unplug, and so they're paying a professional service.
That's wild.
yeah.
My question is like, how come the parents aren't going for walks
Right.
with them? Like it's
Right.
connection, you know. It's like I'm gonna outsource my connection with this kid to somebody else. I just like, and sure, kids need lots of different connections. It just seems strange to me
Parents
Well,
want to
I would-
scroll in peace.
Yeah, they want to scroll in peace on their own social media and not have to go for a walk. Yeah.
Yeah, I
want
mean,
someone
I
to
did.
fix their
I
children.
have heard people make a very valid point that the people who complain about their kids being addicted to screens are the people who gave their kids screens in the first place. And listen,
1000%.
and I'm not shaming any parents because
Sure.
I've got a 17-year-old who has a problem,
Yeah.
you know, and honestly, like he didn't even really have, like he had like an iPod around 11 or 12,
Yeah.
and then like it just was downhill from there. And yeah, and then there's just different rules in different houses as well.
Sure.
You know, like then there's just different rules in different houses.
I
And
just
so-
feel like it's my best thing that works best for us is to just not make it a thing. I don't make it a thing, but if I notice he's on there a lot, I might say like, "Hey, I've noticed you've been on Minecraft for an hour and a half. Like, you know, maybe want to do something else." And I might engage him doing something with me, or I suggest like, "Let's do a Lego thing together," or, "Hey, let's go ride down the Greenway." You know, something to kind of shift that. But because I've done that, I found him censoring himself in a way, like keeping himself in line, where he's like, "I've been on this too long today. I'm going to get off." And I'm like, "Cool." Like it's building
Yeah.
in the
That's
rhythm
awesome.
of that.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
when you make it a behavioral thing where you're like, "You're only getting 2 hours," and there's like,
Rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, okay, I'll just sneak this at
Right.
night.
Yeah.
yeah, it could have just been a conversation. you know,
Right. Right.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not all.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was fun. It's
Yeah.
fun to reconnect. I don't think I've seen you in
I know it's been a long time.
10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
Other than what's on social media. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for making the time to be here. And that's, you have any closing remarks?
No, that's it.
Closing remarks.
This was great.
All right. That's a wrap.
Appreciate it.
Lovely.
All right.
All right. I don't know which clap you're going to use.
The program you're doing, if you ever wanted, like, any